Well, all you have to do is think about Caleb Martin in the past with the Miami Heat playing against the Boston Celtics, and you knew what the result was going to be on Christmas Day with lots of cheers, spreading love all over the Boston TD Garden, and the Sixers win 118-114. Welcome to the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show, presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. And if you had Caleb Martin for the over of, when I looked at it, half was his number for three-pointers. It was 0.5 on Bet365 of the over for made three-pointers this evening against the Boston Celtics, and he cleared that by a lot, making tonight a season high. And Derek, I think you looked it up. It is a career high. Yep. 7 made three-pointers tonight as the Philadelphia 76ers beat the Boston Celtics. They've won 2 in a row. And Derek, Bodner, Devon Givens, Brianna, all of you in the chat. Vince Pellegrini hanging out with us as well. Merry Christmas to Vince. This is the best win. On Monday, when we spoke to you guys from the arena, that was the best win of the season. Yep. They follow it up with the absolute best win of the season, and Caleb Martin was phenomenal.
Caleb Martin came into the game shooting 30% from three-point range. Prior to the game against the Spurs, he hadn't made more than 1 three-pointer in a game going all the way back to November 18th. He was working through a nerve impingement in his shoulder. He was rebuilding his shot with workout bands to try to get the rhythm back in his shot as of last week. He came out and shot 7 for 9 from three-point range in Boston, and each and every one of those was crucial for a big, big win. This is a guy who has had monster playoff series against the Boston Celtics throughout the course of his career, to the point where it doesn't make any logical sense. He has been a career 35% three-point shooter who comes out and takes over games in the Garden in the postseason, and he did it on Christmas once again. It was one of the most unexpected performances we've seen all year. It was something that, even though he played better against the Spurs, and even though the matchup, I think, made sense for him to come out here and start against Celtics because of their strengths on the perimeter, it was still something where I don't think anybody was truly comfortable. And for whatever reason, he is just able to elevate his play against this team in that arena in ways that defy logic. It was incredible to watch. It was completely necessary. They don't win that game if he doesn't come out and shoot lights out. For all the good that Tyrese Maxey did, for the stretches that Joel Embiid had, for the way they played defensively, if Caleb Martin doesn't shoot out of his gosh darn mind, are we on the TV stuff? I don't even know. It doesn't matter. If he doesn't shoot out of his mind, they don't win that game. It was incredible. It was incredible. 3
incredible games today so far in the books for the NBA. 2 more to go for the rest of the evening. The one that matters the most here in Philadelphia is that one. And before the game started, Derek, when we started to discuss the possibility of a 5th starter with KJ Martin out of the lineup, the starter for the last couple of games for Nick Nurse, we said Yabusele. You pointed out maybe Caleb Martin because of the matchup. And that's exactly what we got. Now, jokingly, I said, hey, maybe he turns into the guy who plays against the Boston Celtics.
Or maybe you just knew something.
Well, maybe I did, but it's not just me, because then you followed up and said, well, he's probably going to have to make about 17 of those tonight against the Boston Celtics. He made 7, but all 7 of them mattered. Not just, and I'll give Rich Hoffman credit too, because when we discussed this on Monday, and I said this to you briefly in the pregame, Bree, as you know, you were here with us, of course, on Monday, and Rich said, it looks a little different. Yeah. It looks a little different. I said I can still see it where the Elaine Bennett's leg kick is still on the bottom of the shot, and it's still a little funky. But when he was talking about,
I just wanted to push you across the studio and say, get out.
Right, exactly. Fantastic, as always. But everything else looked fine. And once we saw that on Monday, didn't necessarily believe it was going to carry over. But he saw a few go in. Early tonight. And that just continued to carry. And there were a few of those possessions there, Derek, in the second half where they blew the 16-point lead. Boston comes back. They eventually take the lead for the first time since, I believe, 9-8 in the first quarter. Right. Then the Sixers pushed the lead again back into double digits, which I believe was 11. And when Embiid came back in the game after the run that was led by Tyrese Maxey and everybody else that was out there with him, he was the one that they kept leaving open, daring him to, again, make shots and beat them. And he did just that, lining up shots, staring down the shot, by the way.
Including a 30-foot bank.
Yes, a 30-foot bank. One that we also thought was his toe was on the line. They gave him a 3 on that one. And we said, there's no way he's going to, when you studied wrong, you study long, you study wrong. And that's how it goes. And they kept leaving him so wide open that he could study the shot. And he was nailing it, though. So with that, the development could be, and we don't know yet because there's still a lot of basketball to play, but we only have to go off of Monday and Wednesday. But these are 2 consecutive games where he was 3 for 5 on Monday, and then he was tonight 7 for 9. Derek, myself, you, Kyle, Rich, we all talk about it. Bree lays it out there and says, all you have to do is make a few for your confidence to start to come back. Now, the impingement may be there, but whatever may be working for him with that impingement for him to knock down these shots, this could be big now as we move forward, going on this 6-game road trip, which started tonight, 5 more games on the road that concludes against the Brooklyn Nets next weekend, that this could be big, a development for the Sixers where he remains in the starting lineup when everyone's healthy, and then he turns out to be the guy where a lot of people thought that this was the second best free agent move by the Sixers behind Paul George.
Yeah, look, we spoke pregame about how important it would be for him to get his confidence back, to get the shot back. Because obviously confidence plays a part in that. But if your shoulder doesn't feel right and there's just something wrong when you're pushing through the shooting motion, the confidence is probably going to be short-lived. So hopefully whatever was happening there in the shoulder is better. But if he gets the shot back, and eventually with that comes a confidence, all of a sudden, because he is playing outstanding defense. And when he is on the floor, the Sixers defense is just a different animal. He's got the versatility. He's got the ability to defend a bunch of positions. The effort, the playmaking, it's all there. You just need for him to shoot enough, well enough, and to create just enough offense to keep that on the floor. Yeah, they are a much better team. And all of a sudden you start looking at it, Paul George, hugely disappointing night offensively.
Big time.
He's a really good borderline impact player defensively. Kelly Oubre gives you that kind of size and playmaking and ability to get out in transition. This defense could look really, really good. And look, Boston is a bit of a strange team. Like we mentioned before the show, they shoot so many threes where they can just have an off night and play their way back into a game. And certainly in the first half, there was a point pretty late into the second quarter where Boston was, I think they were like 11 of their 14 made shots were from 3.
Yeah.
They were shooting like 11 for 21 from 3 and then like 3 of 20 inside the arc. Part of that is a little bit of luck, but I think the Sixers were doing a real good job of rotating on those drives and making everything tough for them near the rim. That is in part because you have wings for really one of the first times in the Joel Embiid era who can match up with teams like Boston, but it requires Kelly to play smart like he has been over the last couple of weeks, and it requires Caleb to make enough shots to stay on the floor. If those two things are true, and look, we are probably going to sit here and nitpick. I'm sure we'll probably nitpick Paul a little bit, certainly in like off-day shows or just general discourse around the team. People are going to look at that contract and want more offensively, and that's fair. But that defensive foundation, that base that they have is very strong and can carry them even against good teams like this.
Yeah, and look, after today's game, as we talked about, making the threes against San Antonio on Monday, the threes tonight for Caleb Martin, he could absolutely, in the next game on Saturday, he could miss shots again. He could start to miss those shots again against the Utah Jazz. But for right now, this is a big development if his shot is starting to come back. Because what it also does, Utah on Saturday, if he's in the starting lineup or just playing in general, they may dare him again. Do it again. Do it again.
And
make
all
your shots
of those
again.
threes, like they were running away from him. They were daring him to shoot.
Absolutely.
Even after making 6 of them, they were running away because he has a track record this year of not making those.
Yeah, so they may very well dare him, and he may very well miss them. But if he makes them, what it does then, Derek, again, is now he can put the ball on the floor, the blow-by, because you're going to leave your feet trying to close out on a guy who has been hot from the three-point line. He has a couple of days off. I'd imagine he would like to play tomorrow to keep this going. But they do have a couple of days off, which whatever the amount of days off that he did have, where he sat for a bit, the doctors, the coaching staff, they all decided that he needed to sit. Okay, great. Maybe that was also something that just simply worked out because, as you guys know, being there for the shoot-arounds, being there for practice, being there for the pregame warm-up, when he's getting some early work in, and we heard about that the other day where he got some early work in the gym way before everybody was really in the arena ahead of that San Antonio Spurs game, and it paid off in that particular game. Now, this is only 2-game sample size, but to have that back is huge for this basketball team in the moment, and even with the Jared McCain piece out, it's not as if he's taking that, but it's just more having another guy who, once again, is playable for the things that he does, and the bonus would be his shot falling once again, his offensive side showing itself for this basketball team.
And it's a good point you brought up with the work that he has put in, because every time we go to practice, every time he is the last one on the floor going through individualized shooting drills, trying to get that shot and the fluidity back in that shot. For whatever is going on with that shoulder and the impingement, he is certainly putting in the work to try to get back to where he was. He has talked time and time again about how, his gut instinct is to play through it and to give the team whatever he has. But he also has to take a step back and realize that in order to be the best version of himself, he has to get himself right. And I do think he has done everything in his power to try to get this right. Is this the start? Because he did, 3 for 5, I think, against the Spurs.
Yes.
Over these last 2 games, is this an indication he is headed in the right direction? I certainly hope so, because they are a markedly different, markedly better team when he is on the court and giving them that defense. He really is one of their smarter, more rotationally and positionally sound defenders. And he also has, like I said, the flexibility, the versatility to defend a number of the bigger wings. He has the ability to force turnovers and help get them out in the break. And I think that helps Maxey to get out and attack an unset defense. It's something Maxey's been talking about a lot here of late as well. To be the best version of this team, they definitely need him back. Maybe not shooting 7 for 9 for 3 for 23 points, because that's just unrealistic, but at least closer to the player he has been over the previous couple of years with the Heat.
Yeah, so watching this basketball game and spending time on Christmas, everybody showing up here with us watching, a great number of people sitting back at home, turning us on Christmas Day. We really appreciate it. We can't thank you enough. Again, tell a friend to tell another friend and continue to tell more friends, because what were we, 11 in pregame? Well, we needed 11 more subscribers. So get us over 30,000 during this show while we're hanging out with you for this hour on Christmas. We're here. We're doing our work.
You just hit that subscribe button. It's sitting right there.
Tell the people. Take them to their phone and show them how to do it. Hit the subscribe button. Get us over 30,000 right here on the show. Also, Kyle Neubeck off tonight. You and I are here. Bree is here. Vince came in the studio. But Kyle's been in the chat, Bree. Kyle has been in the chat. He's been saying some things in their chat. Merry Christmas, everybody. Caleb Martin.
I mean, look, Kyle, we can send you an eCam link if you want to get on the show.
The Hive. Caleb Martin says the Hive. I mean, Kyle says the Hive is here for the Caleb Martin Hive overall. So let's get to, we normally do this later. Let's do the player of the game right now, since we are talking about him. The player of the game, 7 for 9 from 3. He saved Christmas, Derek. Things were going crazy, haywire in the fourth quarter. Sixers up big. They're starting to blow the lead when Embiid comes back in about 4 minutes into the game. 23 points, 7 for 9 from 3, 72% from the floor. Of course, 73. That's rounded off. It's Christmas. 2 assists, and he played a fantastic brand of basketball tonight. He is our player of the game, and he played overall in the starting role 37 minutes and 43 seconds, 8 for 11 from the field tonight.
Just want to point out, because we got on listeners here to get us over 30. They accomplished that feat. We are over 30. Appreciate each and every one of you.
Thank you. See, we love you.
I mean, if we're going to haul them out and give them a task, we got to at least, give it up when they accomplish that.
Yep. Thank you. We love you. We appreciate it. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much for pushing us over 30 here during our show.
I want to give a obvious shout out to Tyrese Maxey.
We're getting to him.
Probably on merit, especially for what he did in the fourth. What do you have? 13 in the fourth quarter. I think we'll ignore some of those turnovers. I'm sure we'll get to that in a minute. But he obviously elevated them in an incredible way. But when you have somebody like Caleb Martin, who has been struggling for so much of the year, to come and just give you a completely unexpected, like if you were to set the over-under on Caleb Martin points at like 7, I don't know if we would have confidently taken the over on that. For him to give you 23 and hit big shot after big shot after big shot, even if Tyrese Maxey had an argument for the best player on the floor, Caleb Martin gets the player of the game because it was so unexpected and such a lift.
Yes, it was. So, look, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come right back. We'll talk about Tyrese Maxey and what he did tonight. He had a fantastic night. As Derek just pointed out, he's 5 for 8 in the fourth quarter for his 13. 3 turnovers. One was really bad from Tyrese in the end, but they were able to get away from it. All 3 of his turnovers tonight, Derek, in the fourth quarter. Yeah. He was clean until those final few minutes.
And no turnovers, and then just the brain shut off for a minute. It was wild.
Yes, he did. So we'll come back. We'll talk about Tyrese's fantastic night, 33 points. We'll give you all of his numbers, his stat lines, the big plays that he made, and what it all looked like from the all-star guard for the Philadelphia 76ers. Sixers win 118-114. They defeat the Boston Celtics, first matchup of the season between these two Atlantic Division foes. Sixers, they get the first one. Huge win for them on Christmas Day. We're discussing it here on the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show, presented by Bet365.
All right, guys, we want to make sure we tell you about Game Time. Game Time is focused on togetherness this holiday season. When you bring people together at live events, the experience is that much better. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Here are some of the features that make Game Time so great to use. They have, again, the Game Time Picks, which is curation that makes it easier to save money on sports, concerts, comedy, and theater. They have all-in pricing, so when you toggle this feature, it shows you the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. There is seat view, so you get a panoramic seat or view from your seat in the app before you buy. The lowest price guarantee, which will credit you 110% of the difference if you find tickets in the same section and row for less. And then there's Game Time ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHLY for $20 off. We also want to make sure we tell you about Rite Aid. Specifically, we want to help you protect yourself from pneumonia. Adults age 50 and older are now eligible for the vaccine. It was previously for people 65 and older, but the CDC lowered the age recommendation to 50 plus. Millions of people get pneumonia every year. It's a respiratory illness, and fall and winter are a time when the germs that cause respiratory disease typically spread more in the community. So now is the time to get vaccinated and help yourself stay healthy. Some people who get pneumonia only have mild symptoms, but others experience serious complications. The vaccine is one of the best ways to help keep yourself healthy, and it's usually done at no cost with insurance. Getting vaccinated is easy. Just walk into your local Rite Aid or schedule online at riteaid.com. If you're unsure of what vaccines you may need, just ask your pharmacist for a personal recommendation. Stop by your local Rite Aid today.
Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show presented by Bet365. I had one in the chat. I was taking a peek at a few while you were doing the read, Derek, and talking about Tyrese and some of the things that he's had some issues with. We'll get to the positive stuff because there's more positive and negative, but just going off the turnovers, Music Lover 31 said...
No, if you just ignore like a 90-second block of the game, he was almost perfect.
He said the one quirk in Maxey's armor, Music Lover says, is just the full-on blitzing. He hasn't been able to handle that in his career to date. I also brought up the over and back turnover where he allowed Pritchard to press up on him in that way that forced that turnover. Outside of that, as you mentioned, 3 minutes, he was fantastic.
Yeah. No, it was, and not only fantastic, but like he was a story of the game. His play in the fourth quarter really just, it looked like Boston was going to be able to come all the way back. You know, Sixers had a 15-point lead in the fourth quarter. Boston whittled that down. Tyrese Maxey almost single-handedly changed the tide, and then he just couldn't advance the ball beyond half court.
It was unbelievable.
Dribbling the ball off of his leg the one time, backcourt the other time, and it's like, it was, you know, I agree with you. He doesn't handle that pressure great. I think part of it's probably just easier to trap him with that size.
Yeah.
You know, he's not quite as comfortable, you know, looking over the defense and being able to pass out of it, and because of that, you're more comfortable sending 2 or even 3 defenders to the ball. But even with that disclaimer, like that was worse than he usually is. And it was so uncharacteristic that it was at one point, because for the most part, even when Boston was chipping away, I was like, all right, I think they have enough to stabilize it. Maxey's playing well enough. They're playing good enough defense for the most part. The offense, which was pretty disastrous in the third quarter, looks like it's back on track. Those turnovers were the one point where I went, I don't know, man. This could flip pretty quickly.
No, it really could. And for him, what was it that you've seen over these last few games? Because we got on him for a bit. Now, he's starting to string together some really good games
shooting
here.
The heck out of the ball.
And he's shooting the heck out of the ball. That's what you're seeing. So that's what I wanted to go to with him just being able to shoot the basketball the way that he has. That opens things up. That changes the complexion of what the game looks like, not just for him, but for the whole team. If the shot is falling, that looks totally different for this basketball team and what they do. And then his confidence is there. We don't see any of the complaining to the officials as much because the shot is falling. When he gets to the basket, he most likely is getting the calls as well. Well, what is it with the shot and the other things that bring it all together for you?
Yeah. I mean, over his previous 6 or 5 games heading into this one, he was shooting 47% from 3 on just under 10 attempts per game. Obviously, Joel being back opens up a lot of space for Tyrese. But he's been pretty effective even when Joel has been off the floor and he's been running the offense by himself. He just looks way more like there was a brief moment here in the middle of the start of, middle of November where it looked like for maybe the first time since his rookie year, he was second guessing some stuff and second guessing some shots and hesitating. That has not been the case. And, he is getting a few more off the catch, whether that's Paul creating, whether that's Joel drawing a double team. There were some possessions with some really good ball movement tonight. And I think when you get more of your starters and more of your regular players on the floor, you will see more and more of that. There was also the third quarter, which seemed like it was only ISO ball, and it was infuriating, and it looked like a lot of early season Sixers offense, which was it legitimately just drove me up a wall because it seemed like they were doing such a good job in the first half, and they just reverted back to their tendencies. But as the ball movement typically improves, I think that's going to help Tyrese a lot. And like I said, I really do think, Paul, and we'll get to Paul.
Yeah.
Paul growing into more of a at times primary, at times secondary creator and somebody who is making pretty good decisions moving the basketball, even if he's maybe not as aggressive with his own scoring. I think that helps Tyrese a lot. I think that helps create open off-ball opportunities for Tyrese, which he thrives on. We've always said time and time again that he is one of the best off-ball shooters in the world, whether that is shooting off the catch, whether that is driving off of a closeout. He's just been on the move a lot more. And it's been a real good stretch to play.
Yeah, so let's look at this one play that I wanted to bring up from the first half, Derek, where Tyrese Maxey, and this is from the Sixers Twitter account, and they're pushing, of course, for the All-Star point guard to make the All-Star team. He still has enough time to do so, but watch the split. Remember the split, and he gets the open dunk where things break down in the middle of the defense for the Boston Celtics, and he gets that left-handed dunk. So when we talk about, while this was one running into the defense, these are some of the things, though, that sometimes you can do when the split does happen.
Yep.
Where you can, because of his speed, because of the fact that how he has the really good handling and can manipulate where it's not a carry, but you can kind of turn your hand a little bit to push and guide the basketball through the two defenders. And his speed is so good that he can get through those two defenders, catch up to the basketball, especially when there's not a lot of traffic there in front of you. That's a different situation because he's going right to the basket. But when they're trying to blitzing him at the top, he just has to see it coming a little bit faster to make that split decision where he doesn't get himself in an uncomfortable spot. And it doesn't always have to be that. It could just simply be releasing the ball, finding that release valve, bounce pass, chest pass over the top to somebody, leaving his feet and throwing the basketball. But just having a receiver there for the other end of it where it's not a bad turnover, especially in the spot like half court, because everybody's already setting the offense. So now you're at a big-time disadvantage when that happens and you get a steal. It's most likely a 2-on-1 break going the other way or a pick six going the other way for a finish. And with today's rules of not being allowed to foul in the open floor or else you get those free throws, that is something that is a trouble spot. If he can do something like that, split the defense because of his speed, look over the top and find a receiver there for that outlet, then he'll be fine when it comes to picking out those blitzes. They coach him on it. He just needs to do it a little bit more.
Yeah. And
great play on that particular play.
That split is a kind of thing where it's not the most advanced thing in the world, but they overplay his right hand coming off those screens so much where if you sprinkle that in every now and then, all of a sudden everything else just becomes easier because they can't overplay it. It's sort of like when we talk about him driving and keeping his head up and being a more willing passer on drives. It's not just the shots he's creating for others, but it's the hesitance to then sell out to defend him and meet him at the rim. It's the same thing with that. And that was something that like Jimmy Butler used to be great at. And Jimmy Butler doesn't have a quarter of the foot speed of Tyrese Maxey, but Jimmy knew how to, have a counter for when they overplay you going right off of that screen. So it's just those little things that I think he's got to pick up on down the road. It's a lot easier when that shot's going in because they do overplay it and opens up, lanes like that. But he had it all going on tonight, and he's been playing so much better of late. And we've mentioned time and time again, like obviously Joel Embiid is the engine that drives the team, and they're not going to be a contender unless he's playing great basketball on a consistent basis or just playing basketball on a consistent basis. But they also need Tyrese Maxey to get back to where he was last year, and specifically back to where he was, in that Knicks series when it looked like he was, at least a viable 1A, whereas he didn't look like that for much of the early season.
No, he didn't. And we talked about it in the pregame, just with the assist numbers. They'll be a little bit higher because Joel Embiid is on the floor. It certainly helps when you have Caleb Martin shooting 7 for 9 from behind the three-point line. That elevates your number as well for what Tyrese Maxey has been able to do. But the way that he has been able to play in general over these last few games, saving the Sixers, we talked about it, 7 of their last 10 before tip-off tonight against the Boston Celtics. Now, 8 of their last 11 are the Philadelphia 76ers. And with it, a big part of that is the play of Tyrese Maxey, 41 minutes, 12 for 23 overall from the floor and from three-point range tonight. Just knocking down. He got it going early, too. He hit a couple of big shots early on, but here's his last 5, everybody, for Tyrese Maxey. 33, 32, 27, 23, and 40 for what he has been able to do. And in those, that's a 4-1 record for the 76ers with Tyrese Maxey scoring the basketball the way that we just talked about. On the month of December, by the way, they have lost 3 times in the month of December. We know they've had a break because of the NBA Cup run overall, but 2, 4, 6, 7. So 7-3 in the month, but 8 of 11 over their last 8 of 11 over their last 11. He is averaging 25 points, assisting on 5.9, rebounding 4.8, which he did a phenomenal job tonight, rebounding the basketball, helping out there. Only 4, but when Embiid was out during that fourth quarter run in the beginning of the fourth, he was the one, as we were talking with Vince and Bree about, they need to rebound the basketball. Yabusele might be too small against this front court and rebounding the basketball. He got in there a few times and grabbed a few boards, but 25, 6, and 5, and shooting from 3, 34%, but we know how much he puts up 9 a game for the month. So over the last few, 3 for 9 tonight, 5 for 11, 5 for 10, 4 for 11, 6 for 12. Finding his shooting touch once again from behind the three-point line is imperative for him to be the player that we have seen that has made him an all-star, made him a franchise cornerstone for this organization.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, his superpower is that shot combined with that speed, and it makes it so tough to defend on the perimeter, especially coming off of a screen, whether that is a pick and roll or a dribble handoff. He is just a nightmare for opposing defenses. And when you are shooting as poorly as he did to start the season, it takes that threat and diminishes it just enough that then everything becomes more difficult. The drives to the rim become more difficult. It becomes tougher to open up and see and execute passing lanes. So for him to get back to the point that he's at now, and for that shot to be there and everything to come together and the assist numbers to be there, 12 assists again here tonight. He just had his first triple-double not too long ago. I do think that
he almost missed it at 2 assists on Monday against the Spurs. That would have been his second one.
That is the one aspect of his game where I don't think that coming back at the same time that Embiid did, I don't think that is a coincidence at all. I think that those two play obviously well off of each other. They have that two-man game they can go to. But more specifically, when you have that two-man action that everyone is concerned with, it just creates open shots for players like Caleb Martin to knock them down. And it's been much better. For the month with the shooting numbers and the scoring numbers for Maxey, the rebounding and assists as well, as we just laid out. 38 minutes a game, which is a lot, of course, as we know. Only turning the ball over at 2.6 turnovers per game for the month. And that is, again, in a 10-game, what is this, a 10-game sample size there? Yeah. That is pretty No, he's always been great at taking care of the ball, which is what made that middle of the fourth quarter so perplexing.
Yep. So the outstanding game for both Caleb Martin and Tyrese Maxey to start it off. And we can't stress it enough. Again, had Caleb Martin not gone full, as Rich Hoffman says on Twitter, Andrew Toney, Tyrese Maxey would have been a player of the game, and it would have been an easy call for them to pick up this win. We'll talk about Embiid, got Gershon Yabusele, Kelly Oubre, and the rest of the team. We got to shout out Kyle Lowry as well for those minutes, and we'll discuss him and the rest of the group when we get back right here. Sixers win 118-114, take down the Boston Celtics. They are in a pretty good groove, folks, and this is the start of a 6-game road trip. We'll see what it does now going forward after these 2 big wins. Breaking it all down, more on the other side right here on the Sixers postgame show presented by Bet365. And if you paid attention to us in the pregame and we had our Bet365 segment, our pick segment, well, you would know that once again, as Derek said, he's going to start keeping track of this. We nailed it again. Yes, we did it again. Tyrese Maxey, 28.5 on the over. Easy. We needed Joel Embiid to come back in the game in the final 4 minutes to get that 8.5 over for rebounds, because the big fella did come back into the game and he finished with 9 boards. So if you're like me and we put these numbers out there and we get them right, we win. And it's a good day, especially on Christmas, when you get all the great Christmas gifts. You spend a decent amount of money. You said, you know what, let me make that money back on Bet365 by playing these picks, this parlay that Devon gave us in the pregame segment. So if you are like me and others, 90 million users worldwide, you need to add yourself to that if you have not already. Bet365 live streams 708,000 events a year. Early payout offers across the NBA, NFL, NHL, and MLB. And right now, those new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 using code PHLY365 when you sign up. Deposit $10 and place a bet for $5. Could have done that earlier on the parlay that we put together to get 150 in bonus bets. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. And that's all at Bet365. Once again, download the Bet365 app using code PHLY365 when you sign up to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary. At Bet365, must be 21 plus and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Or text, too. You can also do that. All right, let's get to our other friends. You know what? You know why Caleb Martin is shooting the basketball so well? Because I sent them to Rothman. Yes, I did. Yeah, I didn't want to tell anybody, but I did. I sent them to Rothman. I made a few phone calls. Kelly, get on over there. Check out Rothman, because you know what? They have doctors. They have many doctors that specializes in many different parts of the body, including the hip, knee, spine, you name it. And guess what? The shoulder, too. They take care of you if you have a shoulder or elbow problem. And they look at Caleb Martin on the right track. Now, I'm just kidding. I didn't send him to Rothman. But if you are experiencing something similar where you feel like you're experiencing some pain in some part of your body and you need to get it checked out, like I did, I eventually needed surgery. When I pretty much knew what I had done for my ACL and my Achilles, I went to Rothman Orthopedics. They have 200 plus fellowship trained physicians that subspecialize in specific areas of the body that I mentioned, and a multitude of orthopedic services overall. Patients will find the full spectrum of orthopedic care at Rothman Orthopedics, from diagnosis to discharge. They provide their patients with every service and procedure necessary, such as x-rays, orthotics, bracing, MRIs, physical therapy, and more. And it's not just the volume of 255,000 people of patients and consults that Rothman is proud of the most, but instead it's their commitment to improving each of their patients' lives through their service and care. So if you need to be checked out, we know it's the holidays, maybe you have a few days off, you don't have to take any time off, but you need to schedule something. Rothman Orthopedics, they specialize in orthopedics and you. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to learn more and make an appointment today. Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show, presented by Bet365. It's never ordinary with Bet365. We hit it again, Derek. Got the number right, man. Got the number right. We're rolling. We're rolling. Merry Christmas, everybody. Whoever played the parlay a little bit earlier, Merry Christmas.
I am not going to encourage anyone to follow Gambling Givens. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I want to make sure you hold on to your hard-earned money.
Yes.
He's on a little bit of a roll now,
Bit
but
of a here.
I'm not going to sit here and pretend that can't come back the other way real quickly.
Oh, of course. That's why we keep it simple. That's why we keep it simple with these wagers.
I did like your, I thought the Tyrese one was a good call.
And that's 2 straight games for him for that, because the assist numbers, as we spoke about
when he's dropping 8 to 12 assists per game, like recently, like those are easy numbers to reach. Right, I think that's one thing where the betting sites maybe aren't factoring in Embiid's presence and how much. I remember going back last year, and he basically averages about double the assists per possession playing alongside of Embiid than he does when he's trying to run the offense without him. So I think they have to adjust a little bit there. I was a little worried about the Embiid rebounds. I'm not going to lie. And what did Embiid
And it
end
wasn't
up with?
because of
9.
the early part. It was the fact that they were on that run later on.
Well, I was just worried because they shoot a lot of threes and long rebounds. But he got 5 in like the first quarter real quickly, and I thought you were going to cruise to it. It was a little bit of a nail biter, but you pulled through.
A little bit. Thank you, Nick Nurse. Thank you for making us look good here overall. Speaking of the rebounds with Joel Embiid, all right, he had 9 boards tonight, which is better than the game before where we were worried about the 5 in the fourth quarter. But
that was 2 games ago because he got thrown out.
Because he got thrown out against the Spurs. But what did you make of his play tonight? 23, I believe it was, that he finished with. Actually, 27. 8 of 15, 30-plus minutes that he played tonight. Didn't look like he was favoring his leg or the ankle, quite frankly, from the pregame mishap that he had. But only 2 assists. However, the defense and the rebounding, no block shots. But we did see, like we always talk about, he just makes players think twice when they get into the painted area.
It was a very up and down game from Embiid on both sides of the court. I thought, like, if you look individually at his numbers, they were pretty great numbers. 27 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists. On 8 for 15 shooting. A lot of it was he was making jumpers. 4 for 5 from 3.
Yeah.
That was where a good chunk of his own personal offense, threes and foul line. Great formula if you can do it consistently. His 3-point shot has been off to start the season. Defensively, I thought he did dissuade people at the rim. He did make them a little more predictable offensively. He has that kind of impact that nobody else on this team, whether it's Yabusele as a backup center, whether it's Drummond when he's healthy, whether it's Adam Bonus when he plays. That's a running joke. I'm not forgetting his name. I'm going to stop explaining that pretty soon too, but it's anyway. Nobody else dissuades drives like he does. I did think he struggled a little bit on the perimeter.
Yeah. Not
even so much in moving his feet, just in committing to contesting the shot. Like he wants to show and then recover and try to get back to the paint for the rebound. And Boston is just so great at hitting those pull-up shots and so great at pulling up off the dribble. And they just have guys like Tatum who has such great length and high release points that it's real tough to contest. And I thought he struggled to step out there, sort of like Game 7 last year where Tatum just hit 3 after 3 after 3 on him.
He couldn't make a decision on how he wanted to defend that.
And I thought there were moments like that here tonight. But overall, look, he had obviously that late turnover as well. So if we're going to
is bad.
We're going to ding Tyrese on that. Although I thought Kelly, and we talked about this thing, I thought Kelly and Tyrese could have done a better job coming back. You still can't try to, cross someone over 94 feet from the basket. Overall, I think Joel was a positive. The way that he is moving and getting back into his rhythm with his jumper is good. There were some things that frustrated me at various points tonight. He wasn't perfect. And the plus minus, and I don't believe much in single game plus minus at all. He was a negative 18, which I believe was worst on the team. But, to me, the more important thing, did he contribute to the win? I think he did at various points, mostly in the first half, but I think certainly his scoring was important. Mm-hmm. And how's he looking? And the fact that he's playing more consistently. And obviously there was that ankle scare before the game, which hopefully that's nothing going forward. But they need him back to, if not MVP, Joel Embiid, at least close to it. And he's just been, playing more regularly and playing a little bit more consistently of late. So for that, I still came away relatively positive on this one.
I also give him credit for knocking down those 2 free throws at the end of the game. They were massive.
Yep.
Because the Celtics in the end just, again, started to make their threes. And, you have the lead. You're trying not to foul, so you open up the lane a bit, let them get to the basket and finish. And as they did that, you also cut the lead naturally, and the inbounding was an issue. They have to get this situated because I had flashbacks of the Knicks series in Game 1 with Tyrese and Kyle Lowry. Couldn't connect on the first one.
Yep.
Then they had the second one later on in the series that was also problematic. It didn't hurt them tonight, but you can't have those. That said, those free throws were big. He had enough big plays. I saw somebody earlier. One here, I'll say this one. Doug Craig in the chat says, Embiid was good tonight. Thought he challenged well on shots. You thought he challenged well on shots. We agree with you on that one. There was also one that I saw that pointed out he was good, and I apologize because I just lost it. But factoring in, he is still playing with a mask on his face.
I think that's a not insignificant deal at all.
Yeah, so if we're going to ding him for certain things, also acknowledge the fact that the man is still playing with the mask on his face.
No, it's just fundamentally obvious that playing with a mask on is limiting.
Yes.
Right? Like the mask, just chart how many times you see him adjusting that mask throughout the course of the game.
And stoppage of plays, like free throws when he's lifting it to,
No, I think that is and I give him credit for keeping it on because, quite frankly, in the past, he hasn't always wanted to. I certainly do not think he is going to be at his best while wearing that mask.
Yeah. And also, to your point on the defense, someone in the chat earlier brought up the drop coverage of how he seems to be struggling at that. My thing with that is the fact that I think it's the knee a little bit and the uncertainty of him being able to drop but push off like he normally does to get out, because we know that he is a great disruptor of getting back out on the close, on the perimeter for someone like Tatum, as long as he's not fouling behind the three-point line, making some silly decisions like that. He's normally pretty good at that. As we talk about, not only at the rim, his IQ defensively is so very good that he does a decent job in that. But I think the knee brace is bothering him a little bit, where he's second-guessing himself of if he can, in fact, recover in time to get out there. And if they do put the ball on the floor and try to drive past him, that he may not have trust in himself to recover the way that he normally does, to contest it at the rim, adjust the shots. Because even though he ended up with 0 blocks, and you talked about it earlier, he changed a ton of shots. They rushed many layup attempts at the rim simply because he was there.
Yeah.
And that's what he does. That's the importance of his defense. And then you couple that with, and man, was this fun to watch, the Paul George part that you're discussing about how good his defense was. Caleb Martin, fantastic on the defensive end, using his body and not his hands for a lot of those possessions on Tatum or Brown, or even Pritchard. When Pritchard was there in the game, Derek White as well. And then you have Kelly Oubre, who had a quiet offensive night, but defensively, he had some really good plays in there. So this was another glimpse of us having an opportunity to see that trio and their impact on the perimeter defensively, and how they can help Joel Embiid make up for a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, and look, if the cost of the knee brace is that he is 15% less mobile on the perimeter, I will take that anytime. If that just gives him
those three with him,
if that just gives him a chance of being healthy throughout and being on the court on a more regular basis, take that hit. That's fine. If we have to complain every now and then about Jayson Tatum going 4 for 8 from 3, I will happily take that conversation. And Boston's just a tough matchup. Like they can legitimately spread the floor with 5 out. Jayson Tatum can rise up and shoot over almost anyone. Joel Embiid would have to be almost perfect in terms of closing out like that. Boston is a top 3 offense in the league, and quite frankly, they're a top 3 offense, and they're probably coasting a little bit. They put you in so many bad choices and so many impossible situations. For the most part, outside of brief stretches there in the fourth quarter, for the most part, I was okay with the Sixers defense.
I want to say this, too, about the offense, and then we'll get to our super chats here. We'll also talk about Yabusele, Kelly Oubre, Kyle Lowry before we get out of here, is that before Tyrese Maxey had those 3 turnovers in the fourth quarter, they had 3 turnovers.
All game.
Yeah. Fantastic job protecting the basketball tonight.
Absolutely.
Fantastic job.
And that's one thing where, like, Tyrese, he might not be a prototypical point guard. And I think whenever Embiid is out, you see that amplified. But one thing he does do incredibly well is take care of the basketball. And when we've got a guy like him initiating so much, you have a chance to win the possession battle, even if you're not a great rebounding team.
Yep, absolutely. All right, let's get to some of these super chats, because we had a lot of people. Wow, look at that. Thank you so much on a holiday, spending some money on us. And we really appreciate that. Can we start at the bottom there, Bree, with you a fraud, saying, hit the like button. It's free.
I like how he spent $5 to say it's free to hit the like button. You are not a fraud, sir. We appreciate you.
Never a fraud. Thank you so much. You're a fraud. We appreciate that because you're not a fraud for asking everybody to make sure that they hit that like button. Let's go with Nathaniel right there in the middle, Bree. Bittersweet, no McCain with this full roster. Derek, It is because you feel like things, and look, Kyle Lowry was really good tonight.
This was one of the best games Kyle Lowry's played. This reminded me of last year's Kyle Lowry.
When he was thrust into that expanded
You're like,
role.
all right, well, maybe Nick might overplay him a little bit, but he's clearly like a 15 to 20 minute per game player. You can see the basketball IQ sneak in. He makes just enough shots to warrant it. This was, like I said, last year's version of Kyle Lowry where he deserved to be in the rotation.
Yeah, he was really good. Kyle Lowry tonight, 5 points. He made a big three off of Maxey assist. Maxey found him in the left corner, wide open, and it was nothing but net. And he drilled it. So 2 for 4 from three, and 1 for 2 from three, 2 for 4 from the floor overall for his 5 points. But he had 3 assists. He had a block shot that people don't realize that he snuck in there and got that.
A lot of defensive rebounds where even if he didn't come down with it, he was tipping it out.
Yes.
He was real good.
Yeah, so 20 minutes from Kyle Lowry. So hats off to him.
He plays like that. You will never hear me complain about him.
Right. And look, we always talk about it. 10 to 15 minutes. Sometimes you have to extend it. What did you think of his minutes, though, next to Maxey, allowing him to play off ball, especially during that start of the fourth quarter when Embiid was on the bench?
Yeah, I think the only thing I would question is whether like those, and I think they went on a pretty big run, so it didn't hurt him. But I do wonder the viability of like the Reggie Lowry Maxey minutes. Like I concern myself with a little bit. But no, if Kyle Lowry is playing this well, and this was, like I said, one of his, if not the best games of the season, then I do like getting Maxey off ball. We talked about that a little bit with Paul George, where even Paul, again, nowhere near a true point guard, but he can initiate some out of ball screens, let Tyrese run off ball, let him get open shots, whether it's coming off a screen or in the corner, let him attack closeouts. Just simplify things a little bit, especially when you're trying to, make the offense work without Joe. If Kyle is playing like this, and yes, absolutely.
Yep, absolutely. And maybe he's a little healthier too. It was the back, and was it the knee? I think it was back in the knee for Kyle Lowry that kept him on the injury report, missed a few games. And so maybe he's healthier now where he can suit up, play, and go out there and give you these types of minutes. Jake M says, love the growth I'm seeing from Maxey, but those last 2 minutes look like every crucial playoff game the last 7 years. Can't take them seriously.
It was a hip.
It was a hip. Okay. I thought it was the back. It was the hip. Okay. Jake, we just referenced that, Jake, where it looked like mainly that number one with the game 1 against the Knicks where they couldn't inbound the basketball. But then the 3 turnovers were bad at half court in those last 2 minutes. That one that Pritchard pressed up on him. And it wasn't that the ball was over the half court line, which it was, but it was still in the air as he bounced it. It was in the air. It was the one of him stepping on the line, the fact that he put his foot on the line. And that was an issue. So, he has to be better. And he was really good. It was just those 2 minutes.
Yeah.
That was it. Jake, thanks so much. Really appreciate it. We have Shahid saying that the Sixers have the best win of their season, and folks would rather complain about Paul George, a microcosm of the NBA discourse this year.
Yeah. I mean, look, I've never taken the approach that you can't, like, when a game stinks, I think, especially we, and fans are different, but especially we, even in bad games, even if tough losses, have to be willing to acknowledge the good. Mm-hmm. So the inverse of that, I think, is also true. In a great game, you have to be willing to acknowledge, who struggled, especially if it is a trend. I think some of the discourse in the chat went a bit over top. A lot of people comparing him to 12. There is a very key difference. When his shot isn't going in, he still impacts the game with his defense, with his shot creation, with his gravity. That 12 never did. And if I feel weird saying 12 over and over and over again, but we're going to keep up the bit. If 12 could defend like that and play make like that,
yes,
I would have way less criticism of him and that contract. Does that mean that Paul has earned his $200 million? No, you expect more out of him offensively. I think when they were talking about him in the summer, I was worried about how much of the dribble drive game was still there and how much of the ISO Paul you could rely on. I expected him to shoot a lot better. I still expect that he will get that shot back. He's just going through a tough stretch right now. It's fair to want more. while also being willing to acknowledge that his defense and his playmaking are vastly different. And his defense has been outstanding. I think some people will look at him and say, oh, well, he's not guarding the top scorer each and every night, so he's overrated. His off-ball defense, his versatility, his playmaking, his instinct, his jumping the passing lanes, his help has all been fantastic. And because of that, look, worth the contract, obviously $200 million, like that's a steep price to pay. Mm-hmm. What they need to get over, to the promised land and win a championship, you need more out of him offensively, but the defense has been so great. And because of that, I still have optimism that when that shot goes in, I think we're going to see a very good version of Paul George.
And we're at game number 28. I'd imagine some of that will come back. Yeah. And we will be talking about, many more games where he's made an impact offensively in the point production wise, not just the assists and rebounds and helping out in that way, but getting those points and hitting some big shots there. I also thought he was going to split the free throws down the stretch. He nailed both of those two. So you needed those 2 points in the end, and he got them for you for the 76ers. We'll keep it going with who do we have? Shahid also says Kyle with the okay.
You dropped a new one.
Okay. I don't mind you doing it, Derek. You're the resident grouch. At least you're consistent. I'm talking about the fans.
I don't think I'm that grouchy.
No, I don't think so.
But yes, look, fans are fans. Like, they are going to overreact. And especially in today's NBA where the contract is so important and such an important part of team building, I understand when players come in, they don't live up to the contract. Like, that can be annoying, sure. But I just think you have to acknowledge what he's doing well. But look, I'm not here to be the fan police. Like, they're reacting to a game, and however they react, like, there are some people who are going to sit here and be like, if I don't believe that they're going to win a championship, then I'm going to be frustrated. And I get that. That's the whole point of what we're doing here. Or not us, but the team is doing here is to try to win a championship. But, it is a long season. There are going to be some highs and lows. And especially when you're talking about a win over the Boston Celtics on Christmas Day on the road, and a season where, look, coming into the Spurs game, they only had one win against an above 500 team all year. It's one thing to say, yes, you need more offense. I just don't think you have to deny what he's doing well and what the team is trending towards.
Yep, absolutely. I agree with you. And he also says, Shahid, speaking about Kyle earlier when we mentioned Kyle and Kyle showed up in the chat, Kyle load management, new back. Load management, new back.
Yeah, I mean, look, I had off last year for Christmas because I had some family things I wanted to make sure I was at. Because of that, we gave Kyle off this year. If there's a Christmas game next year, I'm sure we'll return the favor to Devon, and he will have off. It is, look, we all have families that we want to see. This was Kyle's year.
Yeah, we will adjust, and we step in for each
other.
But
it's also fair to say that he's not built for this life. Both are true.
Well, that could be true too. Let's go to James Alexander. Simply just wants to say Merry Christmas. The Sixers finally got momentum. James, thank you so much. 8 of their last 11, man.
Yeah.
8 of their last 11. And
look, the last 2 were good wins.
Very good
I know
wins.
A lot of people,
back-to-back
four
best
of them
season.
against the Charlottes.
Yeah, back-to-back best win of the season games. And so that's really big for this basketball team.
Yeah, and when they're defending at the level they have been over the last 15 or so games, it just raises that baseline so much. And every night might not be perfect. Mm-hmm. They can go through a third quarter. Like, it's getting glossed over, but the third quarter offensive, like the process in the third quarter was just infuriating. There was no movement, ball or otherwise. It felt a lot like early season, but because you had periods where the ball was moving better, especially in the first half, because you had Tyrese Maxey go crazy, because you had finally a role player elevate his game and help you steal, and because your baseline defense is so good, you can withstand those 16-point third quarters and still have a chance to win. Defensively, they've just been so much more consistent, and because of that, they're giving themselves a chance to win almost every night.
Yep. All right, let's keep it going here in the Super Chats. By the way, Paul George finished with 13, 4, and 4 tonight, 0 for 7 from 3 on the evening.
Shooting is just, I don't get it.
It's got to show up. Maybe it shows up during this road trip, starting with the Jazz on Saturday. Skunk Riley, haiku time. You ready?
Yep.
I bless you with Yuletide haiku, Christmas miracle. In Martin and Joe we trust. All's right with the world. Love y'all on PHLY for reals.
There you go.
Love it.
So Skunk actually has another one about the Discord.
Yep.
So the Discord, Skunk, is for diehard subscribers. You go to allphly.com, you can become a diehard, and then you get the link for the Discord.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a haiku channel, a Sixers haiku channel dedicated just for that.
Just to you.
It's a great place to hang out, talk some hoops. Obviously, there's all 4 sports as well, so you can talk Phillies and Eagles and Flyers, but we're a little
so go
biased
sign up,
towards
Skunk.
the Sixers. If you sign up, Skunk, I will make sure this guy... I'll try. I'll do my best.
Well, you must not have checked the Discord today because I jumped in there.
Really?
Yes, I did.
I did not see that.
Yes, I did. Before the game, I jumped in there, had something to say to the good people in the Discord, and that's what I did. Yes.
No kidding. You did.
Yes, I did.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes. Yes,
That's
I
his
did.
first message in 7.5 months, guys. It was a big day. Not just because Christmas, but because Devon Givens was in the Discord.
You knew they were going to win, so I jumped in the Discord a little bit earlier. Final super chat of the evening. Holy cannoli. Off topic, but do you know Embiid was, if he was ever given an option for meniscus repair instead of snipping it for any of the surgeries?
No,
just,
and Embiid spoke about this on the record. When Kyle and I had reported this, but Embiid came out and admitted it. The repair was not an option. Whether or not you can get a repair is very dependent on the location of the tear. Mm-hmm. Depending on location, how much is torn, and the blood flow in that area will be dependent on whether or not you actually have an option for a repair or whether you have to get the partial removal. He did not have an option for a repair.
All right. All right. So we appreciate all the super chats there from you all. We thank you for that. Gershon Yabusele, Kelly Oubre, any final thoughts on just their play today? Kelly Oubre with some good defensive plays. Of course, some buckets there. That's down the stretch there where he had a nice steal early, open floor dunk. Nice attack to the basket. Gershon Yabusele again, just playing some good minutes overall as the primary backup tonight. 12 points, 2 threes.
Nope. I mean, Gershon making his threes, that's huge because I think we all pretty much trust the defense. Even if it's out of place at times at center, we all trust the defense. We all trust the effort defensively and the rotations. So when that shot is going in, he is a contributor. And Kelly, just another real strong effort on the glass.
Yeah.
And even if, what do you end up with? 4 points in
4
38
points,
minutes.
But he had 8 boards.
8
2
boards,
blocks, and a
good
steal.
defense, help them get out in transition. That is, look, the Kelly Oubre experience is going to go up and down. That shot is just not consistent. It's been more consistent of late, in part because he's only been taking the good ones. But he's still going to miss some open shots. That's just the way it is. He's not a knockdown shooter. But the shot selection has been much better. The defense has been consistently good. And the effort on the glass is really, he's not been a great rebounder for his size and athleticism over the course of his career. He has been much, much better of late, and that's big.
Yep, that is very big, very big, very big win for the Sixers. Their best of the season. They are now 11-17. And Derek, I did say this. You remember, 6 wins. I said I'm not going to mess around with the standings anymore until they hit double digits. Well, right now they have won 7 of their last 10, 8 of their last 11, 2 games in a row. And if it weren't for Detroit playing the Lakers and somebody else, Detroit has won 2 in a row. The Sixers are only a game back of Detroit, which is 10th.
Yep.
So I won't even exclude Detroit. They're tied, Detroit and Chicago, in that final spot in the play-in tournament. And the Sixers are a game back of both of those basketball teams at the moment. First things first, get past them.
Yeah.
And then you continue to go from there. So that is your update on the standings. We'll leave it there. They have 5 games remaining on the 6-game road trip. Utah Jazz, I believe it's 9 o'clock on Saturday from Salt Lake City. We will have our pregame show at 8:30, so be ready for that. All 3 of us, all 4 of us, Bree will be there as well, and we hope to see you there. We have to say goodbye with our world-famous roll call on this Christmas day. We got a lot of people to thank.
All right, I guess we will start off with...
I got a lot of problems with you people.
That was 2 days ago. It's no longer Festivus.
That was 2 days ago.
We do have to do a feats of strength.
We do.
Kyle tried to call me out on it the other day, and that is, nope, I am not chickening out on that.
You're right.
All right, so let's start off here. Cannoli.
Holy cannoli.
We got Jeannie. We got Val. We got Jess.
What up, Jess?
Aaron.
Aaron.
Phi Chi.
What up, Phi Chi?
Bootzilla.
Boots.
Hedva.
Did you get some new boots for Christmas?
You better.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
All right.
Hedva. Doug Craig. AC Philla.
What up, AC?
Very active in the chat, even though he said he didn't watch the game. We appreciate that. You do not have to
you
watch
got
every
the win,
game.
though.
Sit in here and talk with us good folks. Martian Lynch.
What up, Martian?
Jay of the Jungle, who called me the GOAT, so I'll definitely give you a shout out for that. I appreciate that. Let's see. I did a bad job. I didn't.
By the way, the game is 9:30. You are correct. The game is 9:30, so 9 o'clock pregame for us. Okay.
We got Brian Knight, not McKnight.
B Knight.
Even though it should be.
Holy cannoli. Thanks
X-Man,
for the 9:30.
Jason Coffer. Prophet 1, I saw in there.
You saw this win coming, didn't you, Prophet?
Ash Monroe.
What up, Ash? We got to get the update with Embiid in the lineup.
Yeah, I wonder what it is. What is that? Like, is it 8th game, 9th game played?
Yeah.
I don't think it's that great, but it's trending upwards, that's for sure.
That is.
It wasn't like last year. Last year they were like,
yeah, it was bad.
Like they didn't lose with them in there. Coach Will Ricketts, I see you there.
What up, Coach?
Did we say cannoli?
Yeah, we said holy cannoli. Yeah, we did.
Shahid dropped a couple of super chats, so we appreciate that.
The Boots said I got the same Tims. We gotta get you some new Tims for the holiday, Boots, especially if it starts. We're not going to speak it into existence because we don't like it.
Did we miss Winona? I think we missed Winona.
Hey, Nona. We appreciate it. Thank you, Nona. And Nona, Jess, and Val, thank you so much. I gave Derek his bag of treats that you guys brought in, so you can thank them yourself,
I have not opened them yet because we're serious professionals here. We have work to do. As you can tell by my hat, we are serious professionals.
Yes, serious.
I will get to that right.
We're not going to tell you all the cake and cookies that we ate because of Winona and Jess and Val.
I did have some of the cake. That's true.
That was
incredible.
Very good. All right, make sure everybody.
I'm just saying, we eat when it's not Christmas too. So, we're always open to any kind of donations at the studio.
We will let you up the elevator here to bring us some treats overall.
If you guys ever want to come hang out with the PHLY crew, all you have to do is bring some food.
Our super chats tonight is Skunk Riley, You a Fraud, James, Holy Cannoli, Shahid, Nathaniel, Nate, Bittersweets, No McCain. Yes, well, next season we'll see him. And
it is really
tough.
To be clear, because I know we mentioned it before, but he got the repair. McCain did. So that is like a 6-month timeline. It's likely his season is over, and I think he even TikToked that his season was over. So.
Yes, he did. I'm not sure they wanted him to do that, but he did it anyway. That said, everybody, and yes, Habib, Kale had 41 to start off Christmas Day. That's right. Drop that 41 for the New York Knicks. I don't care that you like the Knicks or not. I don't even like the Knicks. I just care about you guys liking his work.
Who's our resident citizen, right?
Citizen. Yeah, citizen. Yeah, so Kale dropped 41. It was
but he's like a Sixers fan too, right? Like he's in the both teams?
He's like in the middle. Weird. But
I don't think I've ever met one of them before.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go home and rewatch the game because Kale was fantastic. So
rewatch that game.
Rewatch that game to watch the 41 because he was great. It was great to have the family up there to see that. So thank you so much, Habib. Really appreciate that. Everybody, make sure you go like and subscribe. We thank you so much for supporting us and allowing us to hit over 30,000 during our show. Subscribers on YouTube. And what are we?
I'm pretty sure all 30,000 signed up because of us. I'm pretty sure
much.
That's how that works.
Yeah, what are we? 16 months in and we got 30,000. So that's 14. Yeah. 14.
Well, for you, you're only 11.
So there you go. So for me, for the 11, 30,000, that's pretty darn good. I'll take that overall. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us on Christmas. So glad the Sixers can make all of our Christmas evenings even more special with a win and not have us complain about anything. You can get back to your regularly scheduled family time and friend time and whatever you were doing. Like and subscribe. When you do, make sure you hit the like button to get the bell icon for the alerts. It will sound just like that, and then you know it's showtime. We are off on Thursday and Friday. We are back on Saturday beginning at 9 o'clock for the pregame coverage ahead of Sixers Jazz, Game 2 of the 6-game road trip for the Philadelphia 76ers. Everybody, once again, Merry Christmas to you and your family, to all of you. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. As always, it was a blast, Derek. Thank you, as always, man. It's always fun.
Always
a good time. Bree, super producer Bree, as Kyle likes to call her, because she is producer extraordinaire. Great job tonight, Bree. All that you did to get in here to produce this show for us on Christmas. Everybody have a great rest of your night. We will see you on Saturday as the Sixers, dare we say, are finding their groove. Have a great night, everybody. Merry Christmas. We'll talk to you on Saturday.
all silly like the mayor.